Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. My 24 female, best friend 24 female, is too handsy with my boyfriend 26 male, and I think it's inappropriate. I know I shouldn't use the term best friend in a piece like this, but I don't know what else to call Jessie. Because our parents are good friends, we grew up together, and she had my back in high school. To cut a long tale short, she was at the top of the adolescent food chain when I should have been at the bottom. Nobody dared to tamper with me because I was Jessie's pal. Jessie is one of those persons who needs to be noticed. But I didn't mind sense after all. No one is flawless, right? But now that I've found my first true boyfriend, she's lost her cool. She is always handsy when we are together. Touching his arms, running my fingers over his hair, and complimenting him were constant. And now she's begun doing prank on the buttocks, you know. It simply makes me feel really uneasy. Maybe it's natural. After all, Jessie has a lot of male pals, so maybe this is fine. My BF didn't think much of it either. Is it possible that I'm overreacting? Maybe I'm simply envious of her beauty. Anyway, something really threw me off yesterday. Because BF had work to do and I had a book thing, passion. We agreed to meet later at a friend's place, where they were getting together to drink and so forth. BF calls me when he gets home from work early. But I don't really need him to come over to the book event. I know he doesn't like it. So I tell him to go to friend's place. Then I start receiving messages from Jessie saying things like, "Lady, you need to come to this party now. Your BF is wasted. Lol, we're so drunk. You need to come and stop us. And I can't behave myself if you don't get here soon." And so on. The book took longer than I expected, and I was becoming more enraged. But since I am a non-confrontational person, I cope with it. I phone BF after it's finished, because I don't want to go to this party any longer, but I was his ride. So I ask him it. He wants me to come pick him up. Sure, he says. I arrive and don't even go inside. I'm about to unleash the hounds of hell on him. But when he gets in my vehicle, he is completely sober. I inquire whether he's been drinking and then show him Jessie's messages. He becomes enraged and claims she was lying, claiming he was meeting up with a buddy who had recently returned to town. He claims I should have contacted him to let him know what she was saying so he could address her. Because you never seem to be able to give that girl any limits, his words. Now, I'm wondering whether I should speak to Jessie. But what if she was simply inebriated and bothering me because she wanted me to be there? I'm not sure what I mean, but this girl was incredibly friendly to me when she might have been a jerk. I don't like how she acts with him, but I also don't want it to seem like I don't trust her. Is there a proper method to handle this? Or should I just wait and see if it occurs again? Am I being too dramatic? Update 1. I'm grateful to everyone who replied, particularly those who urged me to say something and what I should say. I don't enjoy debates, therefore they were quite valuable to me. Thank you. We were alone last night because she wanted me to assist her pick clothing for an occasion. I was in her house, so I felt compelled to say something. I wanted to say something. I was courteous and just said that I know she meant no harm, but that I didn't feel comfortable about it. So I asked her if she could tone it down. I should have said, "Stop, but I'm a wimp." She didn't say anything particularly hurtful, but her demeanor was, I believe, a little strange. She was gazing at me with disdain, and the way she smiled after I was done saying, it simply felt strange. She didn't say anything more than okay, and we simply went on to pick out her clothing before I left. We were going to go out to lunch, but she stated she was too sleepy. I'm not stupid, she was wounded. So I contacted a shared buddy, more her friend than mine, and, without going into detail, simply told him that I spoke to Jess about something important to me, but was concerned she could have gotten the wrong impression from it. "Look, I don't want to become involved, but you should keep an eye on it," stated the mutual buddy. When I questioned what he meant, he answered, "Nothing, just keep an eye on it." A little time later, he writes me back and says, "Changed my mind. I do want to become involved," and gives me a lot of copies of messages between him and Jessie. It essentially begins with him asking her if the two of us had a fight because I was scared he was polite with his words, so I don't mind his stepping in, and then it's just a never-ending stream of her being terrible. She claims I had a big mouth and was criticizing her conduct because I'm a prude who doesn't know how to interact with men. How she taught me all I know about having a life, and how dare I tell her what she cannot do, or how I should be grateful to her for having a boyfriend at all. My common buddy really called her out for being disrespectful, although she is not one of my friends. He informed me after the prints, "I'm done with her, I give up, and you should see it." He also said that it was okay if I informed her that I had the prints, but I didn't. I was at a loss for words. I mean, she's not entirely incorrect. Even though I am aware of this, it still stings to read them. I awoke this morning to find that she had contacted me late at night. She claims she knows Pete, gave me the prints, and she didn't want to be disrespectful. But it's ludicrous that I am envious of her since she could easily have my BF. You want me to prove it? That's what she meant when she said I'm being foolish and should drop it. She concludes with kisses and a joke. So I'm not sure whether she was joking, apologizing, threatening, or being realistic. I haven't responded to her yet. I'm at a loss for words. Is it really necessary for me to say anything? Or should I simply forget about it? I wish I could speak to someone about it, but I'm really private. I generally bring these items to Jessie. Help. Update 2. My boyfriend is having with her, according to the second update. A buddy persuaded several other pals to email me copies of messages they sent with either my BF or best friend. They are very obvious. When I confronted my boyfriend, he seemed confused, saying he loved me, and that was only. He claims that Jessie continued throwing herself at him, tormenting him, and that he stated he didn't like her, but that he still wanted to spend out with her. He said he just had with her a few of times to see if she would move on and leave him alone. He says he won't do it anymore, that he doesn't even like her, that he loves me, and begs me to forgive him. I believe Jessie went to the party, where my BF and I met, because she wanted to up with him based on the messages I ultimately read. She felt awful for him, but he didn't share her feelings. She was attempting to convince him to break up with me, and then she was attempting to get me to break up with him. It was effective. He is a single guy as of yesterday. Some of the ups are mentioned in some of the literature. I'm on the verge of puking. I blocked him since he was still attempting to contact me. I snubbed her, but she just texted me, saying she just heard what happened, and you realize this was probably for the best, right? And I want to scream. I'm not sure whether this is an update or me ranting. Thank you for listening in any case. Edit. I don't want to seem melodramatic or sentimental, but you guys made me cry. We constantly hearing how it is insane to depend on the internet for human connections. Yet I recently lost a boyfriend, a best friend, and a big group of pals, and instead of feeling alone, I am increasingly feeling like, hell yes, that was the correct thing to do, I'll be okay. It's still painful, but not as much as if I had been really alone. I can't even begin to express how grateful I'm to this sub. I'm at a complete loss for words. Even on my prior postings, which had less replies, it was some of the comments there that prompted me to tackle the cheating situation, knowing I had to split up and go on. So that transformed my life right now. And, given that I'll be doing a lot of soul searching about toxic relationships, this has most likely transformed my life for the better. So, thank you everyone for reaching out to a stranger. This community is priceless. And I received a gold. I'm at a loss for words. Thank you so much. I don't intend to seem ungrateful, but I have no idea how much gold costs. And this is an alt account that won't be used often. Is it possible for me to return it to the sender? Some of you have requested an update. If there's anything fresh to tell, I may do it in a while. For the time being, it's simply more of the same. I doubt I'll be able to respond to all of the comments, but I'm doing my best to address the ones that have questions. Thank you very much. Final update. I promise to return if anything significant occurred. XBF continued attempting to contact me via mutual pals. They continued pushing me to unblock him and at least listen to him out, because he was genuinely sorry he loved me, he was a mess, he didn't intend to, and someone even asked whether I was sure it occurred. They offered to give me printouts of messages in which he mentioned me, so I could see how he always had kind things to say and how much he cared. But I've had it with print screen drama for the rest of my life and said no. To others who persisted, I informed them I wasn't unblocking him because I didn't have anything to say or hear, and that if they continued pressing me, I'd block them as well. I bumped across an ex-boyfriend in a bookstore where I often go, hobby of mine. Maybe I'm being arrogant, but I believe he went there for me. He didn't have any business being there, but I'm just guessing. He asked if I had a few minutes for coffee, and I explained that I was running late. Lie. He escorted me to my vehicle. He smelled wonderful and looked fantastic. He was extremely kind. He was even wearing his hair in a style I like. I felt terrible because, despite everything, I still like him. He apologized again, saying he understood I needed time and distance, but asked if I'd consider giving him another opportunity since he would wait for me. He said that he would never speak to Jesse again and that they would behave as though they had restraining orders against one another. And I thought it was pretty amusing because everything he said forced me to believe him. That I don't. So I told him I was no longer interested and that he should go on. I wish I could have said something more witty or snappy. But I didn't have anything. This was on Saturday, and I haven't heard from him or any of his pals since. That, I believe, was the end of it. Jesse continued attempting to speak to me as well. As I said in the comments, I had a vacation planned with Jesse, my ex-boyfriend, and a few others. Because Jesse couldn't afford it, my parents covered the majority of her bills. She must have recalled this immediately after everything went down and worried, since I had everything: vouchers, confirmations, emails, credit card info. She had gone crazy. Even came to my house, I wasn't home, and my roommate told her to F off, exact words. I didn't block her at first, since I was having a good time seeing her misery. I spoke with my mother, who was wonderful. It was all right if I canceled everything, even if it cost us money. As a result, I did. And as a last piece of print screen drama, I printed out the emails I received confirming cancellations and forwarded them to Jesse with the word "bye" before blocking her. My roommate has been fantastic. We were never very close, and I'm not sure why. She changed her plans with her friends to stay with me and asked me to go out with them the next weekend. I went to visit a therapist yesterday, as advised by a number of you. It was fantastic. It was just one visit, and I spent most of it talking, but it felt nice. She assigned me homework. She spoke briefly about dysfunctional and abusive relationships and asked me to reflect on my connection with Jesse, identifying what was good and harmful about it. It made me understand that she was never really my friend. She had been taking advantage of me for years, and I had even thanked her for it. Therapist also informed me about this, saying, I believe it's called that, the narcissist prayer, which begins, that didn't happen. It wasn't my fault if it did. I didn't mean it if it was, and if I did, you earned it, which is exactly how Jesse is handling the situation right now. So yes, good riddance. Finally, a tidbit of gossip. Pete called me yesterday. He checks in now and then. He's a nice man. Again, he is, in case anybody is still thinking this is going to be a romantic comedy. He stated Jesse was quite certain that since I broke things up, she and Dean would H up right away. But it seems that he does not share her intentions, which frightened her out during the weekend. Pete claims he is a complete disaster who went out drinking 4 nights in a row and had to be carried home by his friends. And yesterday, while they were all out for lunch at this burger joint, Jessie was about to run her fingers through his hair or something, and he just pulled her away and ordered her to stop and never touch him again. How cool is it that he can now do that? In the end, I think he did like me in his weird way. The truth is, I don't want to be with someone who has a terrible crush on me. I want to be with someone who really likes me. I believe I'm deserving of it. I'm also considering using the money I received from the trip to go someplace else by myself. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, this will be the last update on this, since I doubt I'll have anything new to contribute. I believe I just need some time to heal and let go now, you know. I may return in a few months if there is a reason to write a "Yeah, Life is Fantastic Now" article, but I wanted to publish this update now to conclude this narrative on a positive note. And of course, thank you all once again. You are the greatest.